Alrighty, hey Econ Kids, welcome back to In the Woods with Mr. Harrison. We are going to be talking about a little bit of confusion going on. So obviously, I did not get what I needed out of our whole wandering into that free market that was very expensive. Didn't get what I needed. I hit the freezer emporium and they had what I needed, but it was just too expensive. So that kind of just proved the point of monopolies. I mean, monopolies are just crazy, right? Like I had no choice. My only choices were spend 50 grand on a few freeze dried goods or walk out altogether. So I left. That was the only thing I could do because, as we said before, they only pay us a moderate amount of money to do this. I can't quite swing them much. So I really need to find some food sources out here in the woods, continuing our quarantine journey. If I don't find some food sources soon, I'm probably going to end up losing a couple pounds. So I will be on the hunt for goods, and we will see what we find. I think I see something in the distance. Is that? I think that might even be an orchard. Really? Huh. Phew, what do you know? It is an orchard. Let's see, apples and a few other things. Well, that's convenient. Uh, Not like a Deus Ex Machina or anything. Totally just worked out that way. Well, now that I know I'm here and I can actually get some food, it looks like for free. But the question is, what can I carry with me? I mean, we've talked about scarcity. We walked through that whole decision making process. You guys have talked about cost benefit analysis and marginal analysis. So, what's the additional cost here? What's the additional thing? What am I losing out on? If you think in the margins, and then obviously my pack can only carry so much, so that's going to be a consideration. So taking all of our economic kind of practices in consideration, at least I don't have to worry about, the communist village or the free market out here because there's nobody here. So it's just me. So I can kind of go with that. But can I get everything I want? And is there a tool that would kind of help me make the right decision? Well, maybe I'll sketch something out over here to the side. Let me see if I got something over here that's going to help me out. Poof. All right, I got it. So here's an economic model called the PPC or PPF. It just depends on what you read, which stands for Production Possibilities Curve or Production Possibilities Frontier. They both mean the same thing. And it's if I'm using all of my resources one way or another, it's really just kind of showing me how to be efficient. So it's a way to graphically represent efficiency and productivity. So looking at this, I can either pick nothing but apples, and I can get exactly this many apples. Okay, well, that'll work out. I mean, I like some apples, but I might need something with a little bit more spice to it. Oh, look, right down there, they have some jalapeno plants. Perfect. So I'll grab at least one or two of those so I can have, spicy apples, or if I'm just real brave, just eat the whole thing and just go with the jalapeno itself. But I don't want just jalapenos because that's a bit too much too. So I got to find a good combination where I can take one or the other, some working combination of both. Okay, well, if I only take two apples and one jalapeno, well, that's not enough. I got more space than that in my pack, and I'm gonna need more food than that, so that's not gonna work. Well, I could try to take 20 apples and like a dozen jalapenos. Well, that's way too much, and that's gonna take up a ton of space in my bag, and I don't have room for water and all that other fun stuff. And not to mention, I don't know that I see that many of them that are ripe around here, so that's not a possibility either. So what about this little line right here? That'll work. So as long as I stay on the line, I'm good. I can't go over the line, so I can't, again, take 20 of one and 20 of another. Like there's not enough around here. I don't have that kind of resources. That's what happens when I run outside of this curve is anything beyond that is something I can't handle. But if I go under that, well, I'm not using my resources effectively and I'm kind of going too much or I'm not doing enough. So that's not going to work either. So really what I need to do is pick something right on this line. Well, if I pick something right on this line, anywhere on the line means I'm doing good. I can either have, I don't know, all 7 apples. I'm technically on the line. That's all of them, but I'm completely on the line. I can take so many jalapenos, but they're a little touchy, and I can't just toss them in the bag, so I can only have so many of those. or they'll squish and everything will be covered in capsaicin, so that doesn't work. But I can have any combination on the line. So say a couple jalapenos and a couple apples right in the middle. So any of that is fine. Any number along those lines is absolutely fine. It's just when I go beyond that, that's when I'm doing too much. I can't carry that much. I don't have those kind of resources. Well, as you can imagine, countries do this too. I mean, we thought about it recently. This happened to all of us recently. What happens if the United States decides to make nothing but, I don't know, let's say hand sanitizer, but made nothing but hand sanitizer? We wouldn't have enough resources to make other things that use those same type of materials. Or we just don't have enough people to make nothing but hand sanitizers. Or masks. You had all these companies convert and make masks, and they had to divert all of their resources to making masks. I know of at least one sandals company that I normally patronize, and they only had, it's one of those where I was like, oh, any order you want, great. Well, if we haven't already made it, we're not making them right now. We're making nothing but masks. And it's like, well, that's great and it's good for you, but they were using all of their resources just to make masks to help out with the pandemic. Well, they completely went to one side of the curve because they said, this is all we're going to make. And as long as they're using it efficiently, great. They're doing their job. But they couldn't do that. They couldn't just do that and stay in business. So eventually they've had to start making shoes again. But they still have the resources to make masks. So they had to find a place along the line. That happens to businesses all the time. It happens to countries all the time. One of the crazy examples you'll see in another video today is airplanes and shoes. And it's like, okay, well, how many airplanes can you make? Well, China can make some airplanes. Can they make as many as us? Maybe. But does it take the same amount of resources? Definitely not. So if you look at a country like the US versus China when it comes to certain things, say airplanes, the US can use less resources to create more airplanes. Now, this seems like a really weird example. Why would I bring airplanes out of the blue? Or pull it out of the sky, as it were. Instead, what we're talking about is the fact that airplanes, the United States actually makes more airplanes than any other country in the world. We have all the infrastructure. We have all the resources. So we can do it better than other countries can. They can do it too, but it'll take them a lot more effort to make the same amount. This is what we call a comparative advantage. So we'll get more into that on another day, but that's something I wanted you to think about because it's one of those where maybe, I don't know, some students are a lot taller than I am. So you would maybe have the advantage of, you can get all those apples that I can't get. Well, your curve is going to look different than mine because with all the resources I have on me out here in this lovely orchard, I can only pick the apples I can get to. Well, if you're taller than me or just happen to particularly have long limbs, like, I don't know, Mr. Dumbo, then in that case, he can get to a lot more apples than I can. So his production possibilities curve is going to look different. How many he can actually get with the resources he has on him is going to look different. So when we're thinking about this graph, there's a couple different applications. And it, just like a lot of things you've learned over the years, it can move, it can change. So that is the first thing you're going to learn today is A, what is a production possibilities curve? How does it work? B, what can move it? Do certain situations move? Or if things change with my resources, let's say I got stung by a bee or something, so I'm moving real slow and I'm in a lot of pain. Well, that would probably change my curve because I would only be allowed to do so much. My resources would change. Again, kind of a weird example, but it still works. That's the kind of stuff I want you to think about today. And you're going to have a lot of practice today in our activities where you actually have to draw it out. It's not hard to draw. It's not a complicated graph. It's one of the easiest ones you'll encounter in economics. So just think about it that way. Don't get panicked. Don't think, oh no, he's making me do math. I promise it is not that hard. It is very straightforward. So that is everything you need for today. And again, welcome back to another week and another day within the woods with Mr. Harrison in economics. I will see you guys later this week digitally, and hopefully soon we'll all get to see you again in person. Not that you're going to get out of learning then either. All right. See you guys.